Hey yo, what is up FPG fam? Further here, and I'm sure you're aware LIN information's out there for you to see. It's leaked, it's rumored, whatever you want to call it, and I did want to go ahead and talk about it today. Now typically and usually I don't do this type of video. I don't cover leaked information. I usually wait until it's officially in the warehouse on the global side of Tower Fantasy to take a look at, or released by Hoda themselves on one of their social media forums, so that way there's no subject to change. It's official, it's in the game, and we could take a look at it. But I want to make an exception for today because there's a few reasons. The first one being is that this information is coming from what I would consider a credible source. Secondly, none of the information is in Chinese. It's all in English, so we can read it all. And then lastly, there's a narrative being spun in the community about LIN, some controversy that I wanted to weigh in on and give my 2 cents and thoughts on, and kind of get a discussion going and see what you guys have to say as well, because it's pretty interesting. So in the comments down below, let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you're still excited about LIN. Let me know if there's any concerns or worry. I want to see what you guys have to say, but we're going to go ahead and jump straight into it. We're going to break down what we see here, and we're going to talk about the bit of controversy that we have going on. So once again, LIN information, most of what you see on this page is going to remain the same. There's not too many differences from the CN side to the global side, at least from what we're seeing here. Once again, this is subject to change once it's in the warehouse, once it's officially in game, and as always, there's probably going to be a mistranslation or two, which we'll talk about in just a second. But from what we can see on this page, everything pretty much remains the same. Not too many differences. So 11.5 shatter, 11.5 charge, attack, HP crit, all remains the same. It's called Shadow Weave. I believe on the CN side it's called Shadow Weaver, if I'm not mistaken. So that's interesting. I wonder if that's going to remain the same. Altered damage, which is interesting as well. That's all remaining the same in terms of percentages. Now the elemental resonance here, there is a difference. It's 25% area damage here. On the CN side, it's 60%. Not a big difference. And once again, we're going to talk about really quickly rebalancing. This is a thing that happens, guys. I don't understand why people get all up in arms when they see a rebalance on the global side to this date. Like, I understood in the beginning you can be all up in arms because we weren't accustomed to it, right? It was brand new, but this shouldn't be brand new anymore, right? This should be something that is understood, that when they come to global, it's going to be rebalanced to take into account the global landscape. That should just be a thing that everybody knows by now, unless you're new to the game and you're just now being introduced to this. But if you've been here since day one, this shouldn't be a triggering or an alarming thing anymore. This should be fully understood, rebalanced on the global side. Numbers are going to be lower, right, for the most part. So just needed to touch on that really quickly, because I still see it to this day, and it kind of baffles me that people still get all up in arms when they see a rebalance for the global side. I digress. If we take a look at the advancements, I'm surprised, all remain the same up until the 6-star advancement, where the only real change that I can see, and you can mistake me if I'm incorrect about this, is the Moonlight Realm increase attack to 13%. On the CN side, it was 15%, so not a major difference here, only a 2% difference, but that's interesting to see. I thought there was going to be some more changes here. This all actually remains the same. And then the change in this text right here, I can't even really pronounce that name, Epitheliums. This is supposed to be, if I'm not mistaken, the Night Blooms. This is supposed to be the Night Blooms, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. Once again, correct me in the comments down below if I'm wrong about that, or if I miss anything. But I believe these are the Night Blooms, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know why they went with such a very difficult word to pronounce. They should have just called it Night Blooms. But once again, I digress. I'm going to be harping on some very minor things here. So all the percentages here: normal attacks, aerial discharge, scatter, soil. That's interesting. I believe that's mud scatter. These percentages are all the same here as well. So not many changes on this page. So that's good. Now let's go ahead and move over to this part right here. And this is her skill. This is basically where all the controversy is coming from. And this is what I'm going to weigh in on at this time. So I'm going to disregard the matrices for the moment. I may do a separate video on that. I just really want to focus on the skill at this time. So the skill, if we take a look, all of this remains the same except this part right here. Your attack in the realm is increased by 9%. On the CN side, it's 10%. So I wonder if this might be just an incorrect translation here, if it should be 10%, because if it's 1% off, to me that's odd. Why not just make it 10% if it's only going to be 1% off? 9% seems like just a very arbitrary number that doesn't really make sense. If it's 1% off, just make it 10%. So I wonder if this is going to be different when it's in the warehouse on the global side. We'll have to wait and see. All of this remains the same, 66%. All of this is the same. Now, the passive, I believe that remains the same as well, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, that all remains the same. Also, 20% HP, 50% here, 10 seconds here. That remains the same. So let's go ahead and talk about the passive for the weapons and the type of elements that you're going to be using. So Weapon Master Flame, this remains the same. We have 4 seconds and then 15% flame damage. That remains the same. Now, what's interesting, it says, which lasts for an extra 4 seconds when burning targets. I think it just might be just a different way to say any burn effects applied will have the duration extended by 4 seconds. I think it's just a different way to say that. So I'm going to just assume that remains the same. Now, let's talk about the Volt. Now, when Shadow Weave is paired with 2 Volt weapons, Moonlight Realm is converted to Volt Moonlight Realm with a 65% chance of not consuming a dodge attempt, which that remains the same from the CN side, and when dodging and a 5% boost to dodge attack. Now, that was a rebalance because it was 35%. This is now 5% boost to dodge attack damage, and Volt damage is boosted an extra 10%, and that was 30% on the CN side. So this is just a normal rebalance that happens, right? If you take a look at the Volt team and the Volt comp and the Volt characters that are there, they're mainly DPS. So if it was going to remain 30%, I mean, they were going to be doing massive amount of damage. And we have to take into account, once again, the global landscape, right? Where the enemies aren't as tanky. They don't have as much shields. So this is understandable. And I think this is going to be perfectly fine. I think LIN is still going to be a great buffer for the Volt team. I think she's going to do her job perfectly fine. A 5% boost to dodge attack damage, I think that's fine as well. I don't think there's going to be any significant drop off, in my opinion, with the Volt team. I think the Volt team is going to remain the same. 65% chance of not consuming a dodge attempt is still nutty, in my opinion. So I think the Volt Moonlight Realm is going to be fine, and I think it's a proper rebalance to what we've been seeing with the other simulacrums relative to them, right? So I think it's going to be fine. I don't think there's anything to really be concerned about here. Now let's talk about the Frost. Now, when Shadow Weave is paired with 2 Frost weapons, Moonlight Realm is converted to Frost Moonlight Realm, while in Frost Moonlight Realm, Frost attack is increased by 10%. Now, a lot of people were talking about this rebalance from, I believe it was 22% to 10%. That's, once again, a normal rebalance, what we've been seeing, part of the course for global side. But the very interesting part is where it says Frost attack, and on the CN side is Frost damage. Now, this is massive, okay? This is a big difference, because what a lot of people don't understand is that Frost attack, if I'm not mistaken, once again, let me know in the comments down below and correct me, but if I'm not mistaken, Frost attack is additive and Frost damage is multiplicative. And that's huge. There's a massive difference between the two. It's not so much the percentage, but it's the wording. So I'm wondering if this is a mistranslation or if this is correct. Now, if it is correct, as it being Frost attack, to me, it's still okay. I talked about this in my last video, and the Frost team is just incredibly strong. Once again, I argue to say they are the strongest team comp in the game, with characters like Frigg, Meryl, the introduction of Saki, Tsubasa, Coco, Alice down the road. The Frost team is stacked, and the Frost team is incredibly strong without all of these additions. So I think if it's going to remain Frost attack and increase by 10%, it's going to be okay. Obviously, it's not going to be as strong, and obviously, it's not one that is going to be highly sought after, in my opinion. But I talked about that on the CN side, about the Frost weapons, and that being not one you necessarily need per se, because the Frost team was already strong with Saki, Frigg, Meryl, Saki, Frigg, Claudia. Any of those combinations, and then if you get Alice down the road, you have Alice a slot in there. The Frost team will be okay even without needing to have the Frost Moonlight Realm. It's perfectly fine. Now, I know the meta team on the CN side is LIN, Alice, and Saki. I know that team is running things and is the strongest team in the CN side, if I'm not mistaken. But once again, I don't think you need to have that team in order to be clearing content. I don't think that team is necessary. I think if you have a combination of Alice, Frigg, and Saki, or Alice, Saki, and Claudia, or Alice, Saki, and whoever, they're going to get the job done perfectly fine. But I do understand where people are now concerned about it saying Frost attack and not Frost damage. I understand that. And I would prefer it to say frost damage increased by 10%. I really would. So don't mistake me in thinking that I don't want it to be frost damage, because I certainly do. I'm a frost main. I want this to say frost damage instead of frost attack. I'm okay with the percentage rebalance, but I would like it to say frost damage. So I'm hoping this is a mistranslation, and I'm hoping this is changed on the global side. But to reiterate, if it stays frost attack increased by 10%, to me, I still find that to be okay, because the frost team is so strong, right? So I see both sides. Once again, just to reiterate my point and to clarify my stance, because some people will mistake me, I want it to say frost damage, but if it remains frost attack, I am still okay with it, right? Just to reiterate. So that's mainly the whole reason of me making this video, is to go ahead and weigh in and give my 2 cents and opinions on that. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Moving on from there, we have the physical, and this one was rebalanced. It says 50%, and it was 150% on the CN side, and attack +3. This was attack +8 every second. So there was a rebalance there as well. And then the balance weapon type actually remains the same. It's 15%, and that was 15% on the CN side. And then the discharge, they get a rebalance from 368%. It was 542%. And this is 184%. It was 271%. And it lasts for the immunity, actually 1.5 seconds. Here it was 2.6 seconds. So they rebalance the immunity as well, which once again, perfectly fine. This is part of the course for global. LIN is still going to be strong regardless. So let me go ahead and do my takeaways at this time, because I was about to do it, but let me go ahead and do my takeaways. In terms of LIN as an overall simulacrum, is if this is how she's released on the global side, she's going to be strong. Don't have other people get you concerned or worried. The Doom posting's going to be real. I promise you, it's already happening. But I can assure you from my experience, what I've been seeing with these rebalances, this is part of the course. This is typical. LIN is going to be strong. LIN is going to be fine. And LIN is going to buff the team the way she's supposed to. And she's going to be a great addition on every team comp, just like she is on the CN side. So don't let people worry you about that. If you were still excited about LIN, you know, before seeing this information, you should remain excited about LIN. She's going to be that strong. Now, the whole frost thing, I am interested to see what they have to do to see if this is a mistranslation or if this is exactly how she's going to be on the global side. If it remains the same, I'm okay. If it changes, I'm okay. I'm okay either way, because I think the frost team is extremely strong, but I would prefer it to say frost damage. In terms of the Volt team, I think the Volt team is going to be fine as well. I think the rebalances to the percentages are necessary. I think the Volt team is still going to be extremely strong with LIN, and I think the Volt Moonlight Realm is going to be incredibly strong. The Flame, I already mentioned this on the CN side, it remained the same, and you know, it is what it is. I wish the Flame was a little bit different. Like, targets with shield take an extra 15% flame damage. I just wish that was towards enemies in general and not towards shields. That's just me, but it is what it is. For physical, you know, physical is going to be okay. They're gonna have Lyra come out. I understand some people talking about, you know, wanting physical and Volt to be buffed up a little more because of the lack of collab characters, but once again, we just don't know the collab characters that will be coming out on global. We have to see this from a future sense type of mindset, where we have to take into account that the global collab characters could be Volt and physical still to fill those slots, and they could be incredibly strong like most collab characters are. So we just have to keep that in mind. And then the balance is great, right? It remains the same. So that's basically my 2 cents on the matter. That's my thoughts and opinions on it. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if I missed anything, and if you have any questions, feel free to let me know down in the comments below. I'll answer to the best of my ability. I'll read all the comments and I'll try and answer them all, and you know, if I need to do a separate video, we'll do a separate video. But anyways, I think that's everything that I wanted to talk about. I don't think I had too much more that I wanted to go over when it comes to the information that we have here. I'll wait till she's released in the warehouse to see if everything remains the same. If things are different, I'll do a separate video. If things are the same, I'll probably just do a community post or something like that. Anyways, I'm gonna get on out of here. Thank you guys so much for all the support. Remember to stand out, be different, have fun, go further beyond in everything that you do. My name is Cody, but you can call me further. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye guys.